what, you like 100 people meet in the daytime on a Sunday morning? It's just music and bare feet and no talking. What? The only thing I could do was dance to feel like I was dissolving into, you know, heaps of anxiety. I mean, are we allowed to talk about taking Class A's on this podcast? I just want to be here to serve people with this sort of mix of playfulness and reverence to something that's bigger than ourselves.
Is DJing like and holding space with music like the only thing you concentrate on?
Yes. Pretty. What else do I do? I'm now questioning what I do.
It's a good place to do it.
Slight lack of sleep. Yeah, I you know, I've built the following that I have locally here in Somerset and Frome, and through, I would say it started in 2020 when I was really passionate about getting people moving in nature with all the rules and regs that were happening. And someone gifted me 50 headsets, silent disco headsets.
Wow.
So that, I know, I just was thinking about it today. I was like, oh, it's so beautiful. I've got like 250 people in this kind of, mainly from this area, following what I do. And then that tends to fill up gigs to the capacity around here that I put on, or that I get invited to do, because there's a really nice conscious dance scene in Frome. And that I just remember like it, people coming onto that and finding that and like really finding it a helpful resource, and I love the fact that it was like that, like that resilience of like, even if it's the coldest weather, we're still gonna light a fire and we're gonna meet in the park and we're gonna move.
Wow. Yeah.
And actually that contrast being so good. And I think because we were all being so like sort of squeezed dry, essentially it felt like a sort of time of like, you know, we're gonna, I don't know, like it potentially could be quite soul draining in a way, but in that the I guess in me, the kind of rebel in me
was this social isolation times and no, don't leave your house times.
Exactly. And rule of 6 worked fine. And silent disco headsets means you sort of you can naturally keep distance. So yeah, not so much, you know, there wasn't so much touch or contact, but still the touch and the contact is being out in the oxygen with the trees, you know. And
we stopped dancing for the first time in a long time.
As is that Fred again track.
Yeah. We did stop dancing.
We stopped dancing. Yeah.
But like, when has that ever happened, you know?
But we didn't.
No, we didn't.
No, we didn't.
It was like the irony of the tune. But I think that the narrator, it was like a reporter or something. Or someone was being interviewed. What was the sample from? I don't know. Someone was being interviewed, I would imagine. Yeah. In America. And they were saying that if I could go I can't even remember the...
Yes, it was the beginning of that, and I can't remember either.
Yeah. We'll put it in here.
Yeah.
But it is dance, though. Wow. Good God. It feels like that's the only place I want to have conversations, is on the dance floor. I was thinking about this the other week, and I was like, let's think about all my relationships. Who can meet me in that place? On the dance. Who can meet me there?
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I was like really going in on like just dedicating all my time to dancing, or like that space, and creating it, being a part of it in a way that sounds crazy to me, but I understand where we're at as a culture, and like those spaces being dancing in an environment where it's just you and nothing else. Yeah, there's no great reaching or grabbing for anything in particular. It's just you, your body, and music. Yeah. And it's like so uncommon for those spaces to happen. In your kitchen, mainly. People could probably resonate with that. Yep. In the home, in the shower. Yep. But like outside of your home, where is there space to dance, you know? Yeah. You know many. We know many, but it's like when you really bring it back to basics of like,
it's interesting.
You'd be forgiven for thinking they don't exist. Yes. You know. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, it is interesting how if people
sort of stumble across maybe a conscious dance session or an ecstatic dance, the kind of disbelief on their face. And I was like, what, you, like 100 people meet in the daytime on a Sunday morning? Yeah. And it's just music and bare feet and no talking. What?
Yeah. Do you still have those conversations of like where people are like, what is that? Like,
yeah, I definitely. I mean, I find it's really important to make sure that I'm, well, to fill me up, to sort of just keep talking to everyone, you know. And I guess, why do I mean that? I guess I DJ for, like, what we said earlier, slightly less healthy parties, as in just your conventional
that's not
celebration.
The intention to be more healthy. It's the intention is just to let loose and express and have fun.
Yeah, let alcohol and whatever else take the wheels off. Yeah. Whereas actually, when you go to conscious and ecstatic dance, you can take the wheels off in a different way. Yeah. I just, someone said that phrase to me the other day. It's a woman who came to an elemental women's course that I did, and she just said, I love the fact in the space we have permission. You help to create a space that gives permission to just let all the wheels fall off. You know, just let ourselves be messy.
Yeah.
Sort of slightly, want a better way of saying it, just kind of, messy humans.
Yeah, what I get from that is that the wheels are always in motion. So the wheels are like constantly on the go, right?
Yeah.
And then the wheels fall off and you can just like not need to go anywhere.
Yeah.
You can just like arrive back.
Yes. Yes, and that's like the drop, isn't it, of all the sort of centre of all the spiritual arts, is like dropping into being and just to presence. And then there's no time, and therefore there's no need for wheels.
You just float.
Yeah, you just are space. Billions of atoms taking up dancing space.
So elemental woman space, what is this? Where did that?
Well, I did actually bill it as a sober women's dance, because I'm just playing with what is aligning to my core. Well, one could say some of my core wounding is I grew up with a parent with alcoholism, and so my focus has been towards the fact that I've been drawn to this sort of spiritual community of conscious dance or ecstatic dance, and I was just playing with the idea of attracting in people who maybe didn't know so much about it, and like it being conscious dance and ecstatic dance, and that the word sober might speak, that it's another hashtag, sober dance. And I'd love it to, I wanted it to kind of reach to all the people that have been through the 12-step programs, all the different rooms, but actually it turned out that Froom's got already quite a sort of grounded alternative community. So all the women that came kind of knew me, or knew some people, you know, they found me through other friends. And actually there wasn't so much of a focus on it being a sober dance. It was actually, I structured it in a way where I did a course about 7-8 years ago that inspired me to really move forward as a conscious dance facilitator. It was a conscious dance facilitator training in the States called Dancing Freedom, and it used the map of the elements. And I really gelled with it, like soulfully. The teacher, Samantha Sweetwater over in California, really spoke to me, and I just came straight back and like flew with it. And then like three years later I found ED UK, or they found me, and I then became an ecstatic dance DJ because of that. But essentially I was just working with elemental dance. So it was really nice. I brought it back in just over these last 5 weeks over the winter season. And we had 25 women at the mycelium space, which is this really beautiful new event co-working space. And yeah, got to venture back into the alchemy of the elements, which was just delightful. And yeah, all the work I've been doing on myself that feeds naturally into into it, which is sort of working with Tantra, so intimacy with oneself. And it's so nice in the same gender group to be able to just really sort of drop into this particular kind of feminine quality of working with women. You know, and there could have been men, and I don't want to be sort of gender specific, but it worked, and there was a real feminine sensuality and elemental sort of shamanic nature to it, and people really dropped. It was really beautiful.
So how many events were there?
5 weeks. It was a 5-week course, and it was also because they committed. And I've been a bit of a commitment phobe in my time. I've always had people just dropping in.
Sure.
So the first week I was like, I was so scared. It was so funny. It was such an old younger part. It was such a younger part of me that was like 7 years old, going in for her science exam, and no, not science exam. No. A presentation on her favourite thing. Mm-hmm. And she was terrified about showing it.
Isn't that interesting that you were asking for people to commit, but you couldn't do that without committing?
Yeah.
So there's this, once you committed, people could commit kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, so I'm interested to know more about that 5-year-old science exam. Or do you have science exams at 5 years old? Maybe year 5.
No, it was. I said that I don't know where the science exam came from. It was more like,
get what you mean.
I love butterflies, and I've got my project is to come into school and present the butterflies, and then maybe there's some memory of being told that I can remember one of them, which was, and maybe it was a bit sciencey. We were asked to do something with flowers, that's so interesting how the subconscious works, because it was sciencey, and that's one time I got massively shamed, and I think I was about 6 or 7. It's amazing how it comes from the back forward, these memories, because I thought I was just riffing then, but and I did a thing, and I thought it was original, but my teacher said, you copied it, it's not original, you're a cheat, basically, maybe she was having a bad day. She was a pretty nice woman, but sorry, Judy, if you're listening to this. I've never really talked to you about that.
Judy's a big fan.
She does follow me on Facebook. I don't think she does.
I'm going to specific clip this bit. Yeah, it's so interesting. I mean, people listening, and even myself, I'm like, those formative years of the comments of all the... just that they really do impact us, and without kind of a completion of that or a understanding context of someone coming in and saying you can't play that, or it often happens in musical class.
Imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome.
That's what creates it.
Yeah, imposter syndrome is fascinating. I've been learning a little bit about imposter syndrome because it never used to be a thing. So this cultural. I'm going to send you the clip, actually. There's this woman called Ramisha. She's just activism in America. I won't go too much of a tangent here, but she does this amazing speech about, I think it's a graduation in America, big university. And she talks about the imposter syndrome being very similar to bicycle face. Kind of like the few generations ago when bicycles were invented. Stay with me. A few generations ago when bicycles were invented, it was like the then resting bitch face kind of thing. Basically, this bicycle face was contrived and created to stop women riding bicycles, because bicycles created independence for a lot of women, so they could travel without needing a man to take them on a horse.
I'm seeing the suffragettes.
It's
right, yeah.
It's so amazing, and she does this amazing speech about how it's kind of similar. It's this cultural creation to almost stop people being in that power of that's imposter syndrome, or maybe not. Maybe imposter syndrome is actually something we need to feel. We don't need to label it, but it's what you experience when you've not done something before. Does it need to be this kind of we create a narrative around what it means to be an imposter and what that means about us, and it's on us to fix it, and we're in this kind of individualistic where it's all on me kind of way into our culture.
So the way to be with that is to feel
I think just
the imposters.
like we are all imposters, aren't we, on things we've never done before?
Yeah.
Like to some extent,
it can be crippling though. Like sometimes it can be
Sure.
really crippling. Like that first week, I had a very intuitive friend who was helping me set up, and he saw me and I did a little face, and he came over and he just offered a hug, and I melted. My 7-year-old sort of melted in his arms, and I had a really good old cry, and then boom, that set off the next part of the 5 weeks. So I got to express myself and be held before I held everyone coming in. So yeah, I guess it's the different degrees of crippling that happens.
For sure. Different degrees of crippling. So that was 6 years ago. So that was when you went to America, right? About 6 years ago?
2014. It's 9 years.
A bit more.
I've done that thing where I've got like frozen time recently. I
think we're still in the 90s. There was a while where I thought, I was just like the kind of noughties. I just don't know what happened to that period of time. It's very bizarre. I don't know. It didn't feel like a decade, did it?
I'm trying to work out how old you were in the noughties.
Like 11 to 21.
Oh, you are younger than me. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
I think so. It's the hair. The lack of. So say, I'm not going to put a number on it, but a while ago. So before that, what were you DJing? Were you playing music? Has that always been a feature of like your adulthood? Like when did that drop in?
I'm that kind of, no, but I'm a dancer really. Like, and I'm not a professional choreographer.
You always were around music. That music was pretty powerful.
Yeah, it was. I was Top of the Pops was a ritual every Thursday night.
Wow.
I went to boarding school, and we had a telly. We were lucky to watch telly on Thursday nights. So my friend Wendy and I, it was the thing. We look forward to it all week, and we get a table out and we dance on the table. So that was 1990 to 1995, and then all the way through from the early days. My parents were always. It was probably the telly and Top of the Pops was really important to that, and then kind of always having this sort of this kind of edgy, wanting to meet edges, sort of edge spark in me always. That a lot of it comes from my spirit, and some of it comes from my hurt as well. So that then moved into the psytrance scene in the late 90s. So that I just caught the end of the kind of underground dance scene. I missed all the sort of progression of house and and garage and trance, and I missed punk and basically exactly. And all the I should know the names. I feel like I should know names because I'm a DJ.
The sounds,
the analogy.
Yeah. We've all seen the clips of like the warehouses day, and everyone's in like bomber jackets and
it's like out on the field.
So what was that providing for you? That space.
It was rhythm. I'd say it was keeping me.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Love that.
I know.
Yeah, rhythm.
Yeah. I mean, I just started taking psychedelics a little early for my liking, but then maybe that's exactly how it's supposed to be, and that that
it's
sense
like regulating, isn't it?
Well, I guess. Yeah. I mean, I look back and I wonder, like, is it disassociating? I always say that word in a funny way. Dissociating. Because I was dissociating from a lot of emotional hurt. Was taking Class A's another way to, to carry the echoes of the dissociation, or was it a way
Coping strategies?
Yeah, it was a way to sort of, and I think what it did do is it showed me that we are energy, and I have an energetic body, and somehow it connects to other bodies. And the tribal nature of psytrance and the repetitive rhythm brings you into quite a sort of strong energetic orbit.
Yeah.
like orbit, or I'm gonna say like, you know, like you can really align with the toroidal flow of the cosmos, and that's why I feel like so much artwork around psytrance came. You know, you see sort of fractals of Buddha, and fractals of divine goddesses, and it's sort of got Eastern philosophy kind of woven into it, and all kinds of other ancient, sort of reconnecting us with ancient ways. Probably African cultures were in there too. It was mainly India, though. It was very strong because of, I think, some of the roots of the psytrance DJs were it was Goa trance basically. So yeah, it was influenced by that. So that's so rhythm and I think I'm talking a lot now about visuals, so I'm understanding myself to know that was a big inspiration, was all the visual artwork in it.
Yeah.
Naturally took me to yoga classes, which then sort of helped me to feel my sort of bones, and you know, to really feel my body as I was kind of flying out into different dimensions. Yeah. And then I kind of travelled to India quite a lot and became a yoga teacher. And then that drew me to then want to other relationship breakups that kind of brought up a lot of my sort of mainly my relational trauma that I had. That the only thing I could do was dance to not sort of feel like I was dissolving into, you know, heaps of anxiety and so when the tears get too much, when there's an emotional, you know, there's an overload of emotions, that dancing is the thing that was like all I could do to feel the lightness of my spirit again. And that particular breakup took me to the States to do this dancing freedom training and meet Samantha Sweetwater.
Wow. Powerful. Yeah. The reason why they call it church. Like it's going to church, because so much can happen. My journey, like, I went to university in Leeds, and like I just grew up in one of the clubs there. I felt like I was growing up. When, like, reflecting on it, I was like definitely growing up, but like in the same space, like every weekend, religiously for like years, and like there was so much that happened in that space.
I'm like, I can feel my expression on my face is like, because up north was like the heart, like was like the real epicenter of the beginnings of the club raving scene, wasn't it? And I've got such a southerner. I kind of I'd love to go up and experience being up in Leeds. I don't know what it's
like now.
Yeah,
it's interesting. I don't know.
We could do a time machine.
But yeah, all what comes with it. And it's like battling with the kind of light and darkness of it. For me, it was like community. It was a real sense of community. And I felt that when I didn't have it anymore. Kind of just took it for granted for a long time. But when I left Leeds, and I was just like, there was just this depression that came in, because I just didn't have a space where we just commune and just see regular people and just have like acknowledgement. And there was a lot of unhealthy traits within that, I feel. A lot of ego. But like the music just carried the whole energy of what we were there for, and what we agreed upon was good. It's like what makes things cool. It's like everyone's agreeing on it. It doesn't really make the thing is not the thing, but it's like that certain people agree on it. Yeah. And that's what puts it in like valuable kind of, makes it valuable. Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting.
What music was it?
House and techno. It was techno. But my journey with music, I can sum it up quite quickly. It was like techno. Minimal techno was booming. Garage was coming back, and people were loving that, and like loads of edits, and then I started to listen to a lot of disco edits through house music, and then disco edits, which was like fast because I was like quite addicted to the speed of it, I guess. And then that took me to like disco, actually original music, and then that took me to funk. And I just landed on funk music. And I was like, that's even kind of went to soul, but then still like funk was like, just spoke to me. And I love like learning and listening to records, and I'd find just artists and musicians that just like vinyl that just, you couldn't DJ to it because it was just up and down and all over the place. But I don't know, there was just something within that.
You were more of a selector? You mean?
No. No. I bought 1210s at that time.
Okay.
And I just then started collecting records. But I just wanted to collect timeless music. because I had this feeling like the music I'm listening to in the clubs is like cool one week and then it's not the next, and it's like it's cheesy and the reward is cheese, and then it shifts. I don't know. It was always like, what's the like? Where's this come from? And that was what I was so drawn to. You know. And what was the community like for you? How did that feature?
Well, it's so interesting. I was really cushioned in a bubble. Before then, and then I was like an all-girls boarding school, and being groomed to be a very well brought up young lady, and through life circumstances I ended up going to state school, just normal sixth form college, and so I was going through quite a kind of the class system thing. I was like letting go of this like 1% bubble that I was part of, and then I started to find what was going on in sixth form college, which was it's just a lot of exploration of class A's around, and
what was that pull, do you think? What was the rejection or resistance to like conform or to go with the flow of like what was expected, or the kind of path that was maybe laid out for you, and you just had to walk it?
I remember the feeling of like the middle finger coming up, like talking to this friend who I ended up living with, her and her parents, for sixth form, and I just remember us in the toilet somewhere, and we just went, we're leaving, we're leaving this, and we were just like, this is exquisite, like feeling of liberation, of this possibility of, we just sort of knew that there was something beyond what was going on in the culture of that, and then so when I then got to this college, it was just like, it was co-ed, it was normal, it was thousands. I was in like a 350 all-girls school to 2,000 people from, I don't like this expression, but it's a way of saying all different walks of life, all different, whatever you, the whole mix. Because I can feel the part of me that is like,
still not all
like,
walks of life.
it's this like, this part of me is like, those people in different walks of life. I've like got the posh girl in me. You can't ever take her out of me. Really? She's just in me. Yeah. So I get really self-conscious about sounding like an arrogant woman.
Awareness is powerful. Have you integrated and learnt to like really nourish that side of you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I have. Although the way that
feels
that's
like you have.
Yeah. I think I'm blessed with having a very playful nature, so I can kind of
magician energy.
I can change
Shapeshift.
I can change angles and look at things, and just
You're doing it
yeah
this weekend.
Yeah. Yes.
But it's hard to do that. Not everyone can do that, and I think there's power within that, because there's not really any right and wrongs, and it's finding the balance of where it's like you're in those spaces, because I've done that before, and then I catch myself thinking, well, who am I? Well, I can be all of it. Like, I'm not one thing anyway. You know, and I can I can choose to, just because it's not that like I don't take away my core values when I'm in certain places. But I think I learn about, this is interesting, I learn more about myself when I'm in a place with other people that are very different to me, and then I start speaking in a different way, or laughing at jokes that I wouldn't laugh at over here, and then I'm like, oh wow, so what does this mean? I remember this year I spent like 3 days at 42 Acres actually on Tony Riddle's event, and I was like, there's lots of healing in the space, and we're like diving deep and having deep conversations, getting to know ourselves. And then I stayed on, and I did a first event for 42, just helping out, and there was a corporate gig with Mr. and Mrs. Smith, the hotel chain, and I learned so much more about myself in that environment than I did at a wellness event where I was, doing the work. I learned more.
Yes.
So like, it's just what
yes, because
shifted
you're
in me.
watching all the different. I sort of think of like your parts of you are like different fractals of you. So, and yeah, they're different parts of you, and that it's that cool thing where they like you've honed your consciousness has honed those different parts to interface with situations where you do require a mask to do it, to survive it.
Sure.
Yeah, and that brings all these different like elements to your personality.
I just think environment has a powerful impact on us. What's your why, essentially? Like, why do you continue to commit to something that, as I know, it's like going through 100 tracks, and it's like there's it takes commitment, hard work. Like, how much is also like, I believe circumstance, environment is like the biggest thing that influences us. Yes, we're born.
That's really cool you bring that up.
Yeah, I think because then it releases the judgment and it releases the expectation.
I was just going to say that the amount of before I knew about the preciousness of awareness, I would judge myself a lot. Yeah, for like, what am I doing going into that environment and being like you just said, and being like that, and then going into that environment and being like that. It's like so different.
Yeah, I think we get it because we know whether like it makes sense that you are the makeup of 5 people you hang around with. Like, we understand that, but like, okay, with that awareness, then let's just be really selective of where I spend my time and like really be intentional, because it's your responsibility to like, who do you want to be like? Go spend time with those people,
Making choices,
listen to those conversations.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's what podcasts have done for me as well. Like being able to basically have friends that I listen to all the time that I get to know. Not really, I'm not their friend, I know that. But like they could be, because I'm just like hanging out with
that
them.
little whisper you did.
I'm like hanging out with them constantly because I'm listening to their conversations. And then I start to kind of become them. It's a bit slippery at times because then I start like...
So are you talking about people, your guests that are coming on
No,
here?
I'm talking about
podcasts you're
podcasts I
listening
listen to.
Yeah.
Sorry, you could have thought about that in that way. Thanks for clarifying. We're friends.
We're friends. Yeah, we are. New friends. Yeah.
Have you been on any other podcasts?
Yes, I have.
They won't be like this.
No, this is unique.
Yeah.
But no, I haven't haven't made it to like Aubrey Marcus or I've made it to Chris. How do I say your surname? Geisler. I've made it to Chris Geisler's podcast.
There you go. Snapshot into your life. What are some?
Because we kind of went down we did go down a rabbit hole. Not like felt like a rabbit hole for me, talking about a bit of an edge, talking about like my kind of background, how I grew up, and then how things flipped at 16, 17, and talking about accents. My accent had to change when I went to sixth form college. I had to drop the plumminess. I had to like drop the ends of words. That's how I speak now, I'd say.
You were trying to phase it out.
Yeah, the elocution, take that out so that I could become part of my environment more comfortably.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Do you ever just experiment with it? I go out for the day and just start really enunciating everything?
Yes.
You do.
I think she comes through. Just
to see what, maybe in a way that see what happens. How does people start treating you? It's just a social experiment.
Yeah. Yes.
All those things.
It's like, yes.
Fascinating.
Sort of, yeah.
I think there was a guy who I was watching the other day. He was on the street, and you don't know how real this is, but he had tattoos on. I think he was just wearing a T-shirt that showed more of his tattoos, and he was asking people if he could borrow some money, and then he put a jumper on, and he got more receptive audience. Yeah. So like we know these things exist, but it's like
yeah. I definitely got brought up to not trust anyone with a tattoo.
There you go.
Oh yeah. Like
good job I covered him up. I don't have any tattoos.
Do you not?
No.
No, nor do I.
Why
Yeah.
not? Have you been drawn to?
Artwork on my body with drawing blood. I just no. But
Hand poking.
I've had moments, or hand poking. Okay, yeah. I've had moments where I've been like,
The rebel.
the rebel comes up. Yeah, like a friend of mine was wanting to honour our heritage as witches, and there's a symbol of 2 broomsticks or something that some sisters are getting tattooed in different places, and I was like, I could just do like that, just as an ode to like what all of our women folk went through.
I get that.
Yeah.
Like commitment to human connection over like your health. I don't know, health. I guess it's interesting. When I wasn't eating meat for a long time, I did a pretty intense cycle across Europe in the winter, and I stayed with people.
In the winter.
Yeah, I was like, weather's not going to affect me, and then like didn't stop snowing. But it allowed me to stay with people along the whole way.
Yeah, okay.
But on that point, it was I would try and say in advance, because you're staying with people you just don't know anything about, you never met them. I start like dictating like my dietary requirements before I go. It's not the best practice to like, for the connection. And if they would make something and it was just that what we're eating, then I'd honour that rather than like stick to my morals, values, or even what I thought then was health.
Nice.
So it's like the human connection piece is like really important. So this podcast usually goes deep.
Okay.
So what else can you talk to us about? What are some like life-defining moments you say that like have connected you to what you're doing now? What do you think? What's your why essentially? Like, why do you continue to commit to something that, as I know, it's like going through 100 tracks and it's like there's it takes commitment and hard work. Being for myself, loneliness as well at times, or just playing for 4 hours and not speaking to anyone. Sometimes that's the thing.
Yep. And
it's and then leaving, or like that's quite common in the world of DJing. It's like there's a lot of like they call it mental health, but it's like this DJ is really struggling because they just go from hotel room to hotel room. There's this kind of like, and you're supposed to be living your best life in the expectation of others. So like, they're so praised and but like it can be.
Yeah, well, the DJ saved my life.
Yeah.
Having a brain blank. Computer's not reading. Keep going deep.
There's no forcing the depth.
No, I know. I can't.
The depth was a byproduct of certain things.
It just happens, doesn't it? When you asked that question, I was just thinking how I went to the being 16 and going into the fridge in Brixton, and I mean, are we allowed to talk about taking Class A's on this podcast?
Well, I just interviewed my friend who wrote a book. It's up there. How can we legalise drugs? It's like how do we legalise drugs? So we went into a lot of detail about taking drugs.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, we can talk about anything. It's really.
I just, my mind dropped from a few things. It just went like my first psychedelic experience in a club in Brixton on a very like purple microdot. It's an intense psychedelic trip, and I think what it did is it showed me how kinesthetic I am, like how I experienced electricity running like up and down through, like just like running through my bones. And I think it was there already, but it just highlighted it. So I think I was always I tended to be with that sort of sounding. It was a reality. I always was in the I've always been in the center of the dance floor, energetically really? I know. Wow, it's like there's a strength in me that knows how to kind of tap in. I want to find what the word is, like when you've got one of those globes and the electricity, when you touch it, the electricity.
Sure.
But there's a sort of central bit, like, is that how it works? I don't know. This is where my slightly tired brain's going at the moment, but I sort of know
This is
that
where ideas come from. Keep going.
yeah, it's just
I get what you mean.
Like my spine, like one could sort of call it Kundalini,
Sure.
you know, energy up and down the spinal. It was just like so alive, and I remember going up onto the stage and just feeling this kind of strength that was coming from something much bigger than me. So I guess it was one of my first, in a way, spiritual experiences, as I remember as a young adult, late teen. But I'm sure I had many of those experiences because I used to spend hours on my own dancing as a sort of 6, 7, 8-year-old. We had this big room in the house, and I did work out that I've spoken about it on social media before, but I worked out that my father's alcoholism meant that when he was at home, I would lose him at like 11 a.m. each morning. So I wouldn't have any attunement. I wouldn't have any emotional connection with him. And yeah, it was my time with him on weekends because he used to work away in the city and come back at weekends. So I would find my emotional attunement through music. So it's like, in some ways, all of that kind of core nurturing for a child to develop came through sound and rhythm and dance and movement. So I think what I'm trying to say, what I'm now discovering as I'm speaking, is like an umbilical cord of like electrical strength was given to me to use, and that's what I feel comes through when I facilitate and when I'm an ecstatic dance DJ. It's not. I don't feel like it's. The music I choose is important, but there's an electrical vein that runs through me and then through into the environment that I'm in and holding as such, or facilitating. And that I found when I was in the club in Brixton was my first experience of this, like this strength and this power, and I felt really free with it. Because there were probably parts of my brain that would normally try and maybe slightly shut me down to not be that big or that strong, which actually isn't true. I've been gifted with a freedom. Yeah. And that's what drives me. That's what moves me in what I do, which is why I'm a full-time dance facilitator, conscious dance facilitator, and then, you know, DJ for any environment. Like, I'm off to do this 60th tomorrow night, and even though the attendees, the partygoers, might not be in the same state of consciousness that people who are when they're in a conscious dance group will be, like they probably will be getting drunk and other things too, and it doesn't matter because I tap in clearly to the music and the bodies and the energy in those bodies and find the purest, like,
avenue.
Yeah, just feel the purest.
Yeah. Well,
and I think
human,
that's
right.
Yeah,
We're all connected. Well, we're all connected.
Yeah.
It's just we all come from the same source.
I wonder if any of that made sense.
I was with you.
I could see you with me.
Yeah. Do you feel like that chord's always there, or do you think it goes?
The what?
Do you think the chord? Well, I see it as a chord.
Yeah, it's a chord. Yeah.
It's
yeah.
like this electrum.
Yeah, it's there. It's
yeah.
so trustworthy. I must remember that and I am beginning after, because it takes, like any job, and if it's a creative job, it takes a lot of courage to find your own unique expression and trust it, because sometimes it's like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And that's actually perfect.
Yeah.
Because
So I did this practice today. I was on a call, got invited very suddenly, and I just jumped on. And it's possibility management, it's this framework,
Okay.
but he talks about this meditation technique, really, that is a chord that you have in your center, below your belly button, and it takes you to the core of the earth. And if you snap your fingers, which is something link there between like psychosomatics, I think, you're just connected. So any time in a room that you are feeling like the energy's not right, or there's some like something happening. It just connects you, and that noise and the whole like practice can really bring you back into your center.
Oh, I'd like to know more about that.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I've not really explored it too much, but it sounds like a similar way to access.
When you say that, it then, if I'm to sort of continue to expose myself a little bit more, I am, whether this what I'm saying makes the podcast or not. It's like what bits come, what we have. That why, when I know about this like exquisite strength that is something I'm channeling that's bigger than me, that I'm really familiar with in my body and in my heart and in my soul, how debilitated I can get by shame and guilt and over-identifying with the unmet, hurt younger parts of myself, and how those parts can just flood my system with shame. And so when you said about that meditation of like that, it's almost like I need hacks like that too. And I am learning hacks. It's, like breath work or dropping into the sensations of my body, somatics. It's that can be available. It's a long journey though to move beyond these emotional flashbacks and or move through these emotional flashbacks with more resilience each time. And how dampened that electricity, that strength in me, it's just like it feels like a million miles away. It can feel like so, like that human condition of suffering, of like feeling so lonely and messed up and broken and disenfranchised. You're going to be like that. The core wound, I guess, is abandonment for me, and sure. So if I haven't pleased someone or done something wrong, I am wrong, and that I'm going to be ostracized from my community. It's terrifying.
Sure. As within, so without, the abandonment we're all facing, we're doing the exact same thing, right? We are, because of that wounding, we are then abandoning what we're a part of, in a way to kind of something keep us safe, maybe, or send us back to safety. But yeah, there's something to that.
It is insane how it works, how we've evolved, how our brains have, got a little confused.
Trauma.
Yeah, trauma.
When Gabor Mate talks about it, it's just
like,
this makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's all it is. That's what it is. It's like there's not really much room for any other things when you just talk about trauma and that.
Yeah,
severing or like disconnecting from or disassociating or abandoning parts of yourself and interesting. It's just how the mind, it feels like it's up here. Like we do it from this space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you're dancing, mainly your rhythm is through your feet to the floor, your feet to the earth. And so you're waking up all of your lower centers of your body, and you're telling you through the rhythm, through the beat, you're telling yourself, I am here, I matter, I belong, I am unique. And it's an intelligence that's like speaking out, that then kind of moves up, which is like what you said at the beginning about being with dancers that you just can meet without any words. And like you're looking out, you're dancing, probably maybe you're arriving at a conscious dance space and you're moving and you're a little bit your intentions inwards, and then maybe the facilitator invites you just to open up to meeting eye contact with others in the space. And every single time, I've been doing it for like 25 years, I still have that like, I don't want to look at anyone in the eye right now. I don't. And then, but at the same time, I say that, but actually I know to dance with someone's shoulders for a bit and not actually don't have to eye contact into their eyes and have that eye contact and know that my shoulders can just dance with their shoulders, and somehow there's like a relationship between the feet and the shoulders was the beats going through the feet to the floor. And there's like a reliability of like, it's okay to, I don't really know what I'm saying, but it's like, I'm trying to describe the feeling.
Well, that's the thing. You can't really describe it. Words are cheap. Words are like such a small piece of, we're trying to make sense of our experience through words. Yeah. And like trying to like communicate what's going on there, and you can't. Yeah. And that's what's so powerful, because you can't experience it any other way but in that format of like just your body expressing. I used to think that ecstatic dance was a solo journey, and it was all about you. Be very aware of other people. Everyone's having their own experience. It's very like, so I used to feel this. It changed this year, because I think I listened to the podcast, the Val Green, Emerald one. Did you listen to that? The Emerald podcast on like the pathologization, the pathological thing around individualized society. Really powerful. Changed a lot. About in the West, how we pathologize everything, but we also do it through an individualistic lens. So I was like playing with this, okay, but the collective, how do you thrive in a collective experience? How do you thrive when something's bigger than you, when you're a part of something bigger than you? And I just completely flipped it, and I introduced that into an ecstatic dance experience when I say like, you are so important, like you're so important, you as an individual is so important, like that comes first. But like I used to think that it was all about your individual experience. It's not. It's not about you at all. In fact, it's a very small part of this experience, because you're contributing to the future of this event. You're contributing to like the whole energy of the space, and like that is big. It's like, can you respond to that? And what does that evoke in you to know that you're not just dancing for yourself? You're a part of this experience. It's very collective, and in that you will thrive. Like, when do you not thrive? When you're part of something bigger than yourself.
Yeah, I like the way
you
describe that. Yep.
It did shift a lot for me, because I used to be very cautious of like, you just stepping into like a space with someone, and it's like really respect each other's space, but maybe not. Maybe there's something wrong about.
I often find that when I'm giving the guidelines for ecstatic dance, there's the one about boundaries, and you know, for new people who are new to it, there's a code of, you know, physical language of using some kind of hand gesture, be it the universal prayer of your namaste, or just putting your hand up and saying no if you are dancing with someone and they're getting a bit too close for your liking.
Yeah, because you also advise not to use language.
And you're exactly it's a wordless space. So you're using physical language. But I don't know. For me, when I'm speaking it to a group of 150 people, say Ecstatic Dance UK London, is that there's like a 10% in there that like, I've actually it almost kind of continues to calcifies what you've just said about pathologizing oneself to like, it's me, it's my experience, and so therefore there's even more fragility around connecting. But actually, that's not the medicine that I want to.
Sure.
That's not the homeopathic drop I want to put in. I want to put in like, what would it be like to open yourself to the potential of being in someone else's energetic field, dancing with them, like feel how. And I have started to do that more, like how would it feel to then be feeling the uncomfortable awkwardness.
We'll have to set a boundary.
And that.
Because it's safe just staying in your space or your field. It's just safe. Like, is there any growth in that space? Maybe it's what's needed, but also I'm on side with that. Like, for me, life is about uncomfortable situations and growing from that space. And I think that's just tuning into what's needed now.
It's got to be.
We're very isolated.
Look at it, yeah. We've got to realise that we need each other. We've got to realise that we need group consciousness, group awareness, whatever it is, tribe, to thrive. Because I mean, it's just so strong at the moment, isn't it, of how broken down everything is, like how we're fighting, you know, this battle on our own, and therefore then fighting one another. The fights that I have within myself, I feel like with the wars, the intensity of the wars that are going on at the moment, I can feel that amplifying somehow, showing me even more how much I fight my reality, how much I, where am I going with that?
How does that show up? Fighting your own reality. Where do you face the most conflict?
In my relational, my fear of intimacy, really. So that actually circles nicely around to being a DJ. Is I'm probably more of an introvert than I realise, even though I'm a massive extrovert. I'm also, when I'm at parties, it's much easier for me to be the tune selector, the vibe giver from behind the decks.
Yeah, it's easy to have that role.
Yeah.
Without a role, it's a bit more...
It's more in control as well. I'd say the control with relational trauma is like I'm using older parts. I'm still stuck with the stickiness of older
Stuck with the stickiness
of older parts of myself that want to that just want to keep like, no, but that's not. It's like this energy inside of me wants to just fight against what could actually just be let go of.
You want to hold on to it. Fight
it's an addiction.
Yeah.
It's where my addiction lies, definitely is. Within relational stuff, because I'm terrified of being left.
Thanks for sharing.
I like to show up with some courage and
Testament.
humility. Yeah, well, it's great because then I can use that as a facilitator, because I bring it.
It's when you see the world in that way. It's like you're curious to go there because you know you can forage around for the gold and then bring it back. It's like the hero's journey of.
Oh yeah.
It is. It's like coming back to the place to. This is what I found, kind of thing.
Yeah. Exactly. Rather than, oh God,
Don't go there.
Yeah. The treacherous lands of the darker energies in the inner world. Yeah, but instead, like being the adventurer and going the hero's journey. You're making me want to kind of dip into that. Yeah,
I think you are.
I mean, I am. Yeah, I guess more on an intellectual level, reading, so I can go. Oh, yeah, that's what I'm doing. Oh, yeah, that's what I'm doing. Yeah.
The Hero with 1,000 Faces. Do you know that book?
No. Is that
Joseph Campbell?
Okay.
That's where the hero's journey has been definitely a mythic. He tapped into that more than anyone, I feel. With like archetype work as well. The archetype work comes from Hero with 1,000 Faces.
Does this make any sense? The Mists of Avalon.
The Mist.
The Mists of Avalon.
Mist.
Do you know The Mists of Avalon by Marion Zimmer Bradley? It's like an epic novel about the whole Camelot, Avalon world.
I've not gone down that.
Oh my goodness.
Camelot.
That's
Babylon.
like archetypal.
Okay.
I wonder if there's hero's journey going on that, because it's about
I mean,
Lancelot and Arthur and.
Yeah, it all is. Like there's not a part of the world where you can't see that story arc.
Okay.
And it's something which is so interesting, and it's what we love in film. It's the only thing that really makes a film. It's that hero's journey, the rejection of the call, and then what that looks like, and then like just you could take Lord of the Rings, like Frodo, just not wanting to go and then having to face the dragon. But it's the journey of how you do that with yourself. That's what it is. It's all within. because you do that with you slay the dragon, and you have to really go into the cave that you fear the most to bring back the treasure.
Yeah.
And then when you've done that, you end up going back to the place where you started and giving that to other people, teaching it.
Yeah.
And it's just carries for every culture that's ever
Teaching is
existed.
an interesting word for me. Yeah.
Maybe not teaching.
No, well, I think in that context that how you put it energetically, it felt really right.
Sure.
Sharing.
But yeah, I get the teaching.
Mm.
Yeah, who are we to say we know anything?
Yeah, someone broke it down like what a teacher is compared to a facilitator. A
Sure.
teacher has the ability to really clearly break down the steps to back to 0, to then allow their student to work their own way back to 10 again, like work out their own steps. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does feel more masculine actually, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the facilitator I really resonate with, because I feel like I can put my mother archetypal energy into it and just hold, which doesn't mean holding, and just means letting love, unconditional love, create the space.
Sure. Also there's the energies of masculine and feminine within it all, right?
Yeah.
But the holding of it is masculine.
Mm.
You know, that holding, creating a structure for the freedom to be within it.
Yeah, and the love
is
Shakti.
Don't forget the love.
It's flowing through. That's
what are the ingredients for that space for you? Have you really narrowed down what the ingredients are to create that space for people on the dance floor?
Yes, yeah, it's a cool thing to just feel into that.
And as simplistic as you want it to be, because I often feel when you teach, you don't necessarily know something until you teach it to a beginner.
Yeah.
You know, of like someone that's never been to an ecstatic dance, of which there will be many who listen.
My intention, I think, is everyone. That's why the form of circle is such a simple yet powerful symbol for people to stand in circle. Like once you're in circle, I'd say universe, God, goddess, source is in the room.
Interesting. Love that.
I think because you say the word like in the most simplistic way, it's like that. And then we are then all equal. So there's a humanity that then comes in with that. So for me, it allows me to not sort of stand on any pedestal or become, like a facilitator with a capital F or, a teacher with a capital T. Just that I stand there as an equal with everyone. And then the ingredients from there for me is to feel in the room how as adults we can take ourselves quite seriously, and then there's like physical tension that you can then feel in the room from that. And so I then bring through my full playful full archetype, just naturally comes out, and I kind of mix together full and mother, and I don't know, there's probably some other stuff going on in there too, and there's a little concoction, I know it comes through me, and so with that there's like playfulness and reverence sort of together, and that I feel allows everyone to just relax, and obviously giving some like, let's now take 3 breaths together and sigh out through the mouth, and I'll probably make the biggest sort of weirdest face possible to show that I'm not taking myself too seriously, like let's whatever that kind of horse.
Do it again, that was a bit serious.
That.
Yeah, that'll work.
That'll
give me permission.
Yeah. I just yeah. So, and then being clear about what we're doing.
Sure, that helps, right?
And not making it too heady, and I think also the tones of the voice, really important.
Yeah, have you gone into that side of yourself to how to? I don't think I've really gone there yet with my voice.
I love playing with voice. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I have, but not like consciously. does.
Yeah,
because you're aware of like what sounds are gonna evoke more.
Well, it's a privilege when you're that person opening a space. You're the little door. You're like got the key.
Yeah.
And so from my experience, I'm understanding like somatically my heart and my voice are connecting. So the adrenaline of even though you're standing in circle, everyone is equal. The attention is upon you as you're opening the space. Your voice is there, it's prominent. So how do you begin to open up with authenticity? How do you sort of let the first words that come out of your mouth be the thing that opens, that allows everyone's nervous systems to just go, okay, she's got this or I've got this, not she's got this, I've got this because this person is, I'm hearing and feeling this person as being authentic, really. So it's sort of finding one's authentic voice through the heart, out through the throat chakra. And that happens all in a very, very short space of time. But yes, the bit that I really bow to, because it's very sweet. It's very, very sweet being able to work with your heart.
Yeah.
And your voice. And then I guess if you're looking at chakras, your third eye chakra, your intuition, like there's just this like space beyond, just a little tiny bit further forward that just feeds you the right information. It's just, if you can trust the intuition, it's just like, it's like that thing, that energy over there just needs a little bit of tending to, and it sort of comes to you before you even know it. And sometimes attendees of the spaces in the space have fed back that I've said things that they were feeling like I literally spoke the words that, and I'm sounding like I'm putting myself in guru status here, but I think anybody is capable of this.
Yeah.
Because we're just constantly chatting to each other in the ether. There's that.
Absolutely, yeah. But it's that ability to trust and just to go with it.
Yeah.
Without any expectation of something's going to change, but it's like going with that.
And it's a muscle that you flex.
Yeah.
Take a leap of faith. It's
nice to get the feedback of like, I'm glad I did that.
Yeah,
or
and
like,
I think that's the thing. Is like, oh my god, I am now a guru because
no, but like still being open to feedback. I think that's a big part of like even feedback of the room of like, because something that might have worked last week is not going to work today, or it's like tuning in. That's what that intuition is. It's like tuning into what's needed in this moment.
Yes.
Like that, any facilitator I feel is like letting go of any sort of script. It's like what's needed.
The formula.
Right now. Yeah.
The formula is right there in the room each time.
Oof, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you can feel like Einstein's got, like, you could see like little formulas. I just saw one dropping in.
Love it.
He would probably be right there on the dance floor with us, wouldn't he, Einstein?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know huge amount, but I mean
I don't know. Can't imagine it would have been a pleasurable experience being Einstein.
Okay.
Just like a lot. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like a lot of. Maybe he needed to. That was his practice. I think it was to dance, just to be letting go of the stories of all information. That is one big thing about all those ingredients. What it allows is to detach from the story. When you feel safe enough and held enough that you are going to guide their bodies, not directly but indirectly into something unknown, and that detaching from the story is the biggest one, I feel. Do you know Emma Marshall? Have you heard of her? Movement is Medicine. But then you've got like many others that are Movement is Medicine. Emma Marshall.
It rings a bell.
She does this.
Sorry, Emma.
She's got the trademark.
Oh, cool.
She's been on a couple of times.
Movement is medicine.
Yeah, she's it's somatics with music.
Yeah.
She's basically interwoven a few different teachings and frameworks that
Right.
she's done over time. She's been on the podcast twice.
Okay.
She's old.
Yeah, I
uni
have.
friend.
I followed her. Yeah.
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 And
She's training other trainers in that modality.
Yeah. She started it.
And
she was on this
there's
morning.
a DJ. Her partner's a DJ.
I'm not sure.
Or there's one modality where there's like one man who's a DJ, and then the facilitator. So it was just interesting to see that there was one person doing the music, and then the facilitators of that particular modality, if it was movement is medicine.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't think
No.
I've checked in with it for a while. But yeah, it's that detaching from the story and really getting into the body. Yeah.
I'm yawning.
That's a signal.
I just need to sleep more.
Yeah, you definitely need to. You know, they don't know why we yawn. Like, no one knows why we actually yawn.
Oh.
You think it's related to sleep, but is it because I've yawned when I've had loads of sleep? But apparently it cools down the brain. That's one theory.
Interesting, yeah. Whereas I always associate it with,
It's not.
which is I'm in a safe place. I'm
Sure.
I'm regulating. I'm
Yeah,
self-regulating.
or it's how we would subconsciously signal to another that we want to leave a podcast. Cause
Yes, yeah. It could be. Yeah, but it is amazing how we catch yawns.
Yeah.
Total strangers across the room, you can just see it. Boom, boom.
Yeah.
The yawn goes. It's so cool.
Energetics. Yeah, fascinating. Well,
The meta.
this has been such a joy. I
Oh.
can learn. I will learn a lot more from you. I know. It's been great. Thank you for
Amazing.
coming on, just spreading your wisdom. It's like you can tell that you have dedicated a lot of time to the dance floor and to the human existence. I think mainly it's like, how can we meet each other in that place? As I said before, it's like the conversations we have on the dance floor. They're the most that I've seen the most
Yeah.
powerful. Because it is really embodiment. It's like, how can we let go of what does keep us locked and trapped and closed in the modern day, which is like stagnant energy, which manifests in the body. Like not having an open mind will end up, like, I've never met anyone on a dance floor, or maybe I have, but like on a conscious, in a conscious space, it's closed-minded. Because when their body is open and they allow themselves to express, like, it does just, it impacts on how you think about things.
Yeah. It frees up the mind. Yeah. Well, it's a real pleasure and a real privilege to sit with you and sort of hear myself, speak as I've been conversing with you, and to sort of realise, really sort of touched by the fact that I sometimes don't always stop to. I probably don't. Yeah, I'm known for that. To keep going.
I've heard that before somewhere.
To not stop and go, oh, well done, Soph. You really have. You've dedicated.
Yeah.
And I like the way you say it to human existence. Yeah, it basically is. I'm just totally fascinated by the human existence, and I want to. I just want to be here to serve people with this sort of mix of playfulness and reverence to something that's bigger than ourselves, to myself, yet is informed by my younger self that has never stopped being alive and living, like really living life, and that's been through dance mainly, and many other things too. But.
Yeah, I hear that. I see that as well, and I also sense a hesitation of like fully letting yourself say those things, because
there is a percentage holding back there, yes.
But it's okay. It's like, I think that's like, so it's true.
It's
the dance.
That's the dance. That's what's keeping me moving.
I fear my ego too. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know.
Oh yes.
I don't know. That was a bit presumptive of me, but I've always had this part of me that fears myself.
Healthy ego.
yeah, like being in a space and not being aware of how I'm coming across or how I'm being perceived. But that's, for me, has pushed me into insecurity of not really actually ever being present, because I'm consciously, consistently like analysing everything I'm saying, because I don't ever want to be the guy that isn't reading the room.
Yep.
And it's been a really interesting navigation of that for me, because I don't, I know I don't want to be like be unaware of like how I'm being. So there's a side of it's like conscious, but also like she pushes me into a state of like not ever fully like being like very intimate with what I'm saying and like really close to like, no, this is what I know, this is what I am, like this is what I want to stand up for, and this is how I want to serve. Because there's a part of me is like, is that my ego? Like, do I want to be seen serving, or do I actually want to serve?
Yes, because we're tapping into also our culture in England, which is strong.
For sure. Yeah.
And that was one of the biggest teachings of going to the States and doing the dancing freedom training. Is I spent a few weeks in California and then 3 weeks on the course, being around more Americans, Californians.
Unapologetic.
I was freaking, what's it called? Blogging. I was blogging away and like sending out, through my blog all these words like. And I was living in Bristol at the time, and I was just like, everybody needs a dose of Californian. Go get it. Kind of like, just embrace what you are, It's like, And so it's the nuances of being English and just self-deprecation.
I've not made that link before. Yeah,
that was like some of the most powerful medicine was that. I was like, really? I'm judging it. It's like, oh my God, all right, chill out. You're being a bit full of yourself, or then there's that Englishness again.
Yeah.
And I see friends who have spent time in California, English friends who spent time in California, and they've actually really their self-belief muscle is flexing very nicely.
Great.
So bring on that. That's a really good reflection. Thank you. I'm going to go away from this genuinely. Going, why not practice? Going, this is what I do, and I'm good at this.
Mm-hmm. I love it. So good to connect.
Do you?
Anything you want to leave us with? Any final words, or I mean, that was a pretty powerful ending.
I think that might have been it. That it's great to be sitting across the table with you. Having direct eye contact and
it's rare, right?
Lots of
for an hour and a half. It's like rare to not stop looking at someone's eyes.
I know,
even
it's so
people who you're like, when does that matter? As I look away, how does that? It just that's what I love most, actually, getting people in the environment to really just,
I get it, and so I've really enjoyed sparking away with you. I think that's it. I don't know. Keep dancing. Keep moving.
Well, that's it, right?
Yeah. And I want to...
Dancing for the answers.
Yeah, the thing that really strikes me at the moment is I want to do a dance fundraiser to just through the Christmas period, just to give, like, even if I can raise a couple £100 for like Medical Aid Palestine, and just on that practical level, the money going that way. And also I'm thinking about just doing a Zoom dance on about 29th of December. I haven't put it out there yet, but I will. Everyone's a bit like, tired after Christmas and on the other side of winter solstice, and might just want to stay in their own homes and just tune in and donate a £5 or a £10 to dancing with an intention of whatever that each person's intention is, but just that there's coming together to dance, to dance for peace. I just can't quite believe what's going on at the moment. and there's a fear to even speak about it because I might not give it the justice. There's no way to meet the level of atrocity that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And I think dance can be a way to remember to love. Mm. Yeah. Dance equals love. That's what I'll leave on.